Hey guys, it's Jessica and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be using the Art Impressions A Messy House stamp set, and this one is actually a trifold design. It's on the rubber so you get that nice deep etching, plus it has that cling foam so it stamps beautifully. But this was made to where there's two flaps on the front that will close to kind of cover the center image of the lady. But I'm going to use it a little bit different and just kind of make a flat card. I've gone ahead and stamped my images out on 3 different pieces of Nina 80-pound cardstock. My plan was to do a bit of a different design. That's why I have all 3 images on different pieces. It was kind of wasteful to do it this way because I didn't end up doing it the way that I thought I was going to be doing. But that's okay. I saved the scraps, so I have those for later. And I'm using some Copic friendly, just some MFT Extreme Black ink. I did start coloring because I get excited sometimes and I forget to turn on the camera. But I did use the E51 and then the E04 first to get that nice shading, and then went over the top with E51 again, just to blend everything out. You'll see the markers on the top left there. I do try to keep them in the screen as much as possible. There are some portions coming up to where I zoom in a little bit, so you won't see the exact colors that I'm using as far as the caps go. I will have all the Copic colors that I use listed below. I do it that way. That way you guys can just copy and paste if you want to get the same color combinations. So my thought for this card was to create this serene kind of a scene. This lady looks like she just got home. The kitchen is a mess. There's chaos. And she's just going to take a little break and take some me time and enjoy just a little moment of solitude. So that was kind of my envision for this. I wanted to keep her clothes very bright and cheerful. And to me, that just screams red and teal. Those are kind of my go-to colors. So she's got her nice glass of adult beverage or whatever you want to call it. And my thought for the background around her was to create it in a very monotone kind of look. Your focus will really be just drawn to the lady sitting on the floor enjoying her beverage. I'm going to skip around a little bit. So that portion you saw mainly how I colored the lady. So the stamp set does have a couple animals in it. There is this cat that you see here that is getting into the garbage can. And also a dog and another cat on the third scene that you'll see here shortly. So I like to describe kind of what my thought process was on when I was coloring these. For the animals, I kind of kept them all similar colors. So it's still very seamless that way. They have more of an orange tone to them than like the appliances, than any of the background. Or anything that the animals are kind of interacting with will be a bit darker or have more color. This might sound really weird, but they're animals, so they are alive, they're moving, so they should have more of a difference in color than the background. This is all just my thought process as I'm coloring. So one thing about my coloring is I really like contrast. I like to have those deep dark shadows. I like to have those really bright highlight areas. It's taken me quite a long time to kind of figure that out. I also like to play with color. I like to use different colors. I think it's called glazing, to kind of make the base color a little different shade. And that's what I do a lot with the E04 marker, which is kind of this muted red tone, brown, pink. And it can change if you use that marker with other colors. So for like this one, it turns out a bit more brownish because I'm using tans and grays. I do like contrast, and that marker helps give me a little bit more contrast than just using the same color family to create that. Now, if you're unsure if you're getting a good contrast, one thing that you can do is play around with some different colors and then take a picture of it. And on your phone or tablet, whatever you're using, most of the time those photo apps that we have a black and white feature. And I'll show you a picture here of this card in black and white. And you can see there's a lot of different shades of gray. Now, this card has a lot of gray in it already because of the dishes and everything. Even in my colored areas, you can see where there's dark grays, there's dark grays, there's light grays. There's a lot of different tonal contrast. And that's what I'm looking for when I color. I really do like to mix it up, and sometimes it works and sometimes it's just a big old mess. It's something that you just kind of have to play with. That's how I like to color. I like to have those bold, bright colors and a lot of contrast. I don't know. I hope that gives you a little bit of insight. So there's a lot of spills or just goop everywhere. I kept all of those to kind of a chocolatey brown color. And then here on this third section of this card, you'll see that I already colored in the countertop and the dirty dishes and everything. But now I'm going to concentrate on the two animals. So the dog, he's going to get a very red tongue and a collar to match the lady's pants. That'll help him stand out a bit. And the cat that is swatting at the little dog is sitting on top of a darker brown stool, which is a darker brown than anything else except for the trash can, which the other cat is interacting with. So they all have basically the same shading, just slight differences here and there to kind of make them a little different from each other. And then I did add some more texture to the cat and the dog. You'll see that a little bit more later. So off screen, I went ahead and I stamped the center image with the lady on a piece of Inka Dinka Doo masking paper. And I'm going to go ahead and stick that right over the top of my already colored scene. I've used this masking paper a lot. This pack has lasted me a long time. I'm going to do a bit of ink blending. I'm using an older Tim Holtz stencil to create some splatters on the background. So I laid my washi tape upside down, or attached my washi tape to the back of my card image, and then that'll help stick the stencil to the card front. I didn't show a whole lot of that because I'm still experimenting with these new blending brushes. I don't know quite what my thoughts are on them. I basically have only used sponges, so I'm still learning the blending brushes, but I do like the faded out scene on the floor that just draws your eye to the lady on the floor. There are some small gaps that were created when I masked over the lady, just small little areas that I didn't cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and use a couple different Copic markers to create the illusion that the inking from the distress ink. By the way, I used tea dye. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I used tea dye, which matches the spills and everything on the countertops pretty well. But I'll just use a couple different Copic markers to fill in those areas. A lot of that will be covered up anyways, so it wasn't really a big deal. So after fussy cutting the two side images with the animals, I fussy cut those and then I ink the edges. This is where I draw in a bit more of the texture with the dots. So I went ahead and I stamped the sentiment on a medium gray cardstock. And I think this is a nice little saying that you can send to any friend that you have that just might need a little reminder to take a moment for themselves. Do a little self-care, if that's what you want to call it, or just take a moment to relax and enjoy some little alone time. Who doesn't need that, right? So now I'm going to use some multimedia matte glue and my tweezers to build this scene up. I went ahead and applied the left side with the cat in the trash can. And then I'm going to add a acrylic block over the top to make sure that dries really flat. And then do the same on the right hand side with the dog and cat scene. And that's it for this card, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed my coloring process and kind of a look behind the scenes of what goes on in my head while I'm coloring or trying to come up with a color combination or how I create a scene. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Meh, meh.